Hello, lovely people. Hope you're doing marvellously well. I'm sitting here with David of the Workday Release. How are you, my friend?
Good, how are you doing?
All right, we're going to do some guitars, acoustic with you, electric with me, and some bass.
Yeah.
On a new song called
Cursed and Cursing.
And you play drums on it. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So we'll show you the mics I'm using, DIs, and the amps, and all kinds of other fun stuff.
Cool.
So it should be good. Let's get on with it and check out the track. So here we are with David from the Workday Release. All right, so what do we have? We have the lovely Yamaha LL16, which is my go-to recording guitar. You have one of these as well, don't you?
I have one. Thanks, Yamaha.
Very nice of them. A Yamaha endorsed artist. There you go. And we have, of course, a Lewitt 340, LCT 340, which we stole from over here on our overheads. So basically we use them on the overheads and we use them for acoustic guitars. Those of you who've watched my acoustic videos will know, but we'll put a link somewhere. We like to record it down here. I have a story. Okay, don't I always have a story? So I used to work in a music store when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. And I worked in this music store and it was a great, great music store. I had tons of everything, Martins, classical guitars and everything. And John Williams came in one day. And John Williams is Australian, incredible classical guitar player, and he came in and looked at like the 20 or 30 very expensive classical guitars that we had on the wall, and he didn't play any of them initially. He just walked up, so they were on the wall, and he walked up, he picked them off the wall and he went, and he was checking the resonance of the top head. Yeah. And he did that on like 10 or 11 guitars, and then stopped and sat down and started playing. Of course, we were all like goosebumps, you know, like John Williams is playing against guitar. It was like an amazing moment. When I was a kid, it was like John Williams and Julian Bream were these two incredible classical guitar players, and it was all about them. Anyway, so I remember thinking to myself at the time, well, that says something about, you know, the resonance of the body. I get it, you know, if it's like really beautiful and the top's like laid properly with all the, you know, all the struts and it's all done properly, then of course it's going to resonate in a different way. Not that I'm an expert, but there's some logic to it, I think. Something like that. Anyway, to cut a long story short, so it started me thinking about this. And so I used to mic the body, and then a good friend of mine, whom hopefully is watching, called Julian Butcher, who was known as either Spew or Jute, for real. English nicknames, we love him. He is an engineer, and his brother is an engineer, Matt Butcher, does Gorillas and Blur and all this kind of stuff. Duke was a BBC engineer and used to record like so many shows and stuff, and is a real genius. And he would mic the acoustic guitar there, and he told me, oh, that was like a BBC thing. So I was like, there you go. Validation, the BBC. So that's what I do. Now, I don't always do that, but what I do find about it is that you have to angle it away from the sound hole. So you'll see that the angle there is a little bit away from the sound hole. The other thing you can do is you can put it between 12th and 14th fret, especially large diaphragm condensers, put it on there. But I like to put it on the body just here, and I find it's very percussive, especially because you're doing finger picking in the verse. And it seems to exaggerate that sort of percussiveness, where on the strings alone, anywhere near the sound hole, obviously super boomy, but on the strings alone, it tends to be a bit one-dimensional. There's something about picking up the wood that just sounds better to me, sounds more percussive. I can always make it with the right compression sort of jump out of the speakers, which you kind of want when you're doing finger picking.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the LCT 340. So it's going into an old Brent Averill 1073, which I've had for 1.5 million years. No, I think Brent started making these 1073s, correct me if I'm wrong, late 90s, early 2000s. So this is a really special one. I've had it forever. I love it. The EQ is engaged, and basically it's a high pass at 80, which for acoustics is perfect for me. So I'm high passing at 80. There's no other EQ on except for a little boost on the high end. And I don't remember, actually off the top of my head, if it's 10 or 12K. Answer below. 1073, is it 10 or 12K? My mind is blown. Anyway, so a little tiny bit of high-end boost and high pass at 80. That is going into the Spectra Sonics, which is the 610, which is arguably one of the best sounding compressors ever in the history of compressors. It's really colored, but it's spongy as all heck. It sounds like the 70s to me. And I got introduced to Spectrasonics through working with Jack Douglas. Those of you who know me, I do a lot of work with Jack, and Jack had done obviously Rocks and Toys in the Attic, two of the best, arguably best Aerosmith records. He also did New York Dolls, Patti Smith, Radio Ethiopia, Alice Cooper, so many great records in the 70s. And a lot of those New York studios had Spectrasonics consoles and Spectrasonics compressors. In fact, that classic kind of Aerosmith stuff was a lot of Spectrasonics and a lot of data mix consoles and APIs. So a really kind of weird, they had Spectrasonic consoles and compressors, data mix and APIs. Also, if you go and watch some of the interviews I did with Shelley Yakus, you'll get a little bit more about the New York scene. But anyway, amazing sounding compressor, amazing. Okay, so what do I have? I've got my Yamaha Revstar. Huge fan, as you know. Plays ridiculously well. This is kind of my secret weapon, the boost kick. I sort of discovered this because I was working with rev amps, which I love the rev amps. They're really, really good. But I couldn't get my crunchy tone. The crunchy tone, which you know from most session guitar players or most guitar players, is when you can play hard and get distortion, but then maybe have like a almost clean tone. So that kind of. So it's like a. So it sounds very, very clean, or pretty clean when you play softly, but then. And that tends to sustain pedals. It tends to give choruses and delays, etc., a little bit more girth. So the boost kick for me is like I can turn my amp up a little bit, not have the preamp too heavy. And then now I can get really beautiful. What I love about this is the punch, the attack, the edge allows me to get a bit more low mids. Now we're going to be doing on this. On this track, I'm going to do a little bit of arpeggio stuff. I don't want too much drive, but at the same time, I don't want it to be so tiny and clean. So I'm trying to get that halfway house. Maybe a bit too much edge. And then I can use the vibrato. So what I can do is I can double the parts. We can have one with no effect and then one with the vibrato. That'll give us a lot of width. What we're trying to do with this song of David's is make it feel big, wide, expansive without going in and going in. Without doing like power chords or anything like this. Okay, next up, of course, is the echo tone, which is my favorite delay ever. Such a great delay. really good sounding delay. What I really like about it is this tone control, frankly. I can just turn it down, darken it up. It's like having a good tape delay, but without the and the buzzes and stuff. And I've got an Echoplex over there, so I know good tape delays. So this is gonna be good. So what I'm gonna do here is we're gonna work on bits that we know we like. Now, there's no bass line. This is just drums, an acoustic guitar, and a scratch vocal. But the vocal is what I really need to work from. And the bass line, I kind of want to work around the guitar idea. I don't necessarily always have to do things traditionally like drums, bass, guitars, keys, vocals, whatever. We've found that, you know, doing this record so far is if we don't do things in a deliberate, obvious way. Because probably putting bass down first for this, I think if we do it, I'd probably just kind of go and drive through, and we'd end up with something really dumb, where we've had these really melodic bass lines so far because we've left it till the end. So there's no rules, and our rule here is to have no rules. So let's just try this first chorus.
Cover it up and you fake it. There's no other way. So come on, let's get up.
So that's the pedaling on one chord. So save that, and let's do the one following the chords exactly.
Cover it up and you fake it. There's no other way. So come on, let's get up.
So, yeah, I think I like the pedaling through that. Anyway.
The intro.
Yeah. So let's pedal through that, and then we'll go to the major chorus. Duplicate that, and I'm going to try doubling it, but I'm going to double it with that vibe on from the Carl Martin. So we turned on the tremo vibe. So we're going to double this. So we're going to have one pan left, one pan right. We're going to pan reverb opposite each other. Let's try it.
Cover it up and you fake it. There's no other way. Get up and brush off.
Cool. So I'm going to redo the first one because I changed the ending of that one. So we're redoing the first one with the tremor vibe off.
There's no other way. So come on, let's get up. Brush off the dust.
Cool. So yeah, that's, we could do, for Schnitz and Sniggles, we could do. We could do this as a 3-part, just reinforcing that. But super low, just for the heck of it.
Fake it. There's no other way. So come on, let's get up. Brush off the dust.
Cool, I like that a lot. Yeah, it's like a layering of guitars that just to, even if they're super low, just to create a little bit of creepiness, a little dreaminess. Here we go.
Fake it. There's no other way. So come on, let's get up. Brush off the dust. Cool, I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's like a layering of guitars that just to, even if they're super low, just to create a little bit of creepiness, a little dreaminess. Here we go.
Fake it. There's no other way. So come on, let's get up. Brush off the dust.
like that chorus creating that.
Brush off the dust.
Cool. All right, another pair. Trying to decide whether I like that sustain or
That sounds like Blade Runner.
all right, so take the D and just detune it to a C sharp. There you go.
No other way. So come on, let's get up. Brush off the dust.
Cool. All right, let's take the tremor vibe off.
Fake it. There's no other way. So come on, let's get
No
up.
sustain.
Brush off the dust. Dirty
Oh.
for love.
I'm on the fence about the low one. I think it just starts to make it mud, but just bring those two low octave ones down, like 6 dB each. So we're going to go to the chorus now.
Cover it up, you cover it up. We'll never move on if we stay and curse at the mirror, curse at the wind. I hear you say that you're ready to heal. It's time to begin, it's time to begin. Yeah, we'll never move on if we stay and curse at the mirror, curse at the
Oh.
wind.
Trying to get the rhythm of the vocals. So one more time.
Cover it up, you cover it up. We'll never move on if we stay and curse at the mirror, curse at the wind. I hear you say that you're ready to heal. It's time to begin, it's time to begin. Yeah, we'll never move on if we stay and curse at the mirror, curse at the wind. I hear you say that you're ready to heal. It's time to begin, it's time to get up and start moving.
Cool. So while we're on this guitar here, let's do that with just the octave down.
We'll never move on if we stay and curse at the mirror, curse at the wind. I hear you say that you're ready to heal. It's time to begin, it's time to begin. Yeah, we'll never move on if we stay and curse at the mirror, curse at the wind. I hear you say that you're ready to heal. It's time to begin, it's time to get up and start moving.
Cool. Now I'm going to put the tremor vibe back on and we'll double both those parts. So the Marshall is going into the tone Tubby Cab. That's being mic'd by a 57. Go figure. And that is going through a 312, BAE 312. And that is also going through the right-hand channel of the Spectra Sonic 610. So again, it's got that little extra schnizzle. There's not a huge amount of compression going on, but just enough just to kind of control some of the high end a little bit, because obviously, you know, the Marshalls are pretty bright. Luckily, the tone tubbies dull them down a little bit. So it's kind of a nice balance because that hemp speaker in the tone tubby is pretty fantastic. Okay, so I'm using my T40, which I love a lot. And for a start, it's got tons of sustain, but it's also got, I mean this in a loving way, like a nice nondescript bass tone, a tone that just fits in the track. I use it a lot if I just want just low end fatness. If I use my jazz bass, and I just have a Mexican jazz bass, so I use that, it's got tons of nose and personality. I want some drive, I'm gonna push it along, but I don't want grit, I don't want mid-range, I just want low end. So I think this will do the job. So I'm going to experiment. Let's try the first chorus.
Cover it up, we'll never move on if we stay and curse at the mirror, curse at the wind. I hear you say that you're ready to heal. It's time to begin, it's time to begin. Yeah, we'll never move on if we stay and curse at the mirror, curse at the wind. I hear you say that you're ready to heal.
Okay.
It's time to...
So I like this kind of idea. As you can see, it's dumb as all heck. I'm basically playing with one finger and one finger, but I'm going to try that. That low E might kill it. It might be great, but we'll keep it. Let's try it.
It up, we'll never move on if we stay and curse at the mirror, curse at the wind. I hear you say that you're ready to heal. It's time to begin, it's time to begin. Yeah, we'll never move on if we stay and curse at the mirror, curse at the wind. I hear you say that you're ready to heal. It's time to begin.
This is going to really be about pushing into that down, 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 down. It's going to just add energy to it. You know, I'm getting away from like, I'm just like, that down, down is going to give us a lot of energy. But I got to nail the schnizzle. One more time.
Cover it up, you cover it up. We'll never move on if we stay and curse at the mirror, curse at the wind. I hear you say that you're ready to heal. It's time to begin, it's time to begin. Yeah, we'll never move on if we stay and curse at the mirror, curse at the wind. I hear you say that you're ready to heal. It's time to begin, it's time to get up and start moving.
I like that a lot. I like that.
When
Cool?
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay, good. Yeah, I like it. Just kind of energy and wrongness. Okay. Okay, so I'm using the Acme bass DI. You know I love this thing. Why do I love it? Because frankly, it was the Motown bass DI. It's got a huge transformer in it, weighs a ton. And frankly, if it's the only thing that I have to use, it sounds incredible. So many of my friends now are buying these things because they sound phenomenal. It's just plug it in, off you go. But we are also using an amp. So this Ashdown here I actually got off Craigslist for about 200 bucks. And it sounds great. And it's being mic'd by Lewitt LCT 550. Okay, so bass mic, 312. Bass DI, another 312. Now, what I often do is I'll compress and limit. So what we've got is we've actually got a 165 on it going into a BAE 10 DC. And that is just on the bass mic. And so it's just giving us a little bit more control over the dynamics, especially seeing as I was slapping the schnizzle out of that. That was probably a good idea. As you noticed, I was just like banging it for energy. Marvelous. So I hope you enjoyed that little behind the scenes. This is my everyday. We'd recorded drums a little earlier, but I just wanted to make this video specifically about guitars and bass and stuff like that. But this is what we do each and every day. Obviously, there's still more guitar overdubs to do on the song. Haven't done any verse stuff, but I wanted to kind of give you an inkling into the tones and just kind of the thinking that I do behind it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a bunch of comments and questions below. And if you haven't already, go to Produce Like a Pro, sign up for the email list. Of course, you can try a free trial of the Academy. Thank you ever so much for watching and have a marvelous time recording and mixing.